Yeah. All right. First question is, man, I want to know what's your name and what is your current living situation?
My name is Arum.
Arum?
And my current living situation, I wouldn't say homeless because I'm in the house of my body, but I'm a traveler, so I am on the streets.
That's a good answer. Could you repeat that? You said you're in the house of your body?
Yes, I'm
That's
in
the
the
first
house
time I heard
body,
something like that. So basically like a temple, if you will, right?
Well, yeah, because, you know, the term homeless or houseless can be degrading, you know.
True, and it can be interpreted in many different ways, you know, the word homelessness. How long have you been in your temple, so to speak?
Well, I first started traveling in 2006.
2006?
Yeah.
What brought you to Arizona?
Well, I'm born and raised in Phoenix.
Oh, where around whereabouts? Because I'm born and raised in Phoenix.
Well, anyone that's usually born and raised in Phoenix, they're pretty much raised everywhere.
That's true.
Yeah.
So what was life before being homeless, and do you have any things that you do in particular, activities, hobbies, things that you're good at the world might want to know?
Well, before I was homeless, I would say most of my adult life I worked 50 plus hours, you know, a week. You know, worked for Diaz Carpets, worked for Richmond American Homes, International Pool and Tile, so I actually held a lot of good jobs.
That seems to be the situation. And right now we're in Tempe, Arizona. So what is it like here for people that are in their temple or homeless, so to speak? Do they treat you guys well? Do they let people hand out food, etc.?
Well, America's taken a new trend. You know, the Senate and Superior Court pretty much wants to wipe their hand clean of the issue, where they don't want to sit there and say you can do this and do that. So they're pretty much letting states handle their own matters when it comes to homelessness. And so the trend is that instead of finding a solution to address people being on the streets, they're pretty much trying to criminalize homelessness.
This is true. I also heard that Scottsdale got paid $1 million to upkeep or bring homeless people to a hotel. $1 million. I wonder if you heard about that or you knew anything about that.
Well, the thing is $1 million, they can only buy 1 or 2 motels, if you know how much motels are. So they're not buying any new properties. They're just using it as, hey, that's their funding or their Pell Grant. Phoenix, Arizona got $6 million for housing. And they don't even do transitional housing. What they did is they used the money for, you know, run-down motel rooms. They allow people to stay there for 90 days. Then they don't qualify for a year. So pretty much, you know, they're off the streets for a while and then they're back on the streets. In order for it to be transitional housing, it has to be at least 6 months or more.
Wow, that's awful, man. Yeah, that sucks. And the question I asked you before, you elaborated a little bit. I was wondering if you can elaborate a little more on what's it like out here in Tempe. Do they allow it? Are they helpful at all? Are the people mean to you? Do they say nice things to you? What's going on in that area?
Well, pretty much nowadays, people are brainwashed by the media. So, everyone pretty much hates the homeless.
Yeah, that's sad.
As far as cops go, You don't see too many homeless in Tempe for long periods of time.
Why is that? Are they getting rid of them by some way, or?
Well, they've been getting rid of homeless for a long time. You know what I mean? Or they
Yes,
also
I
do
do.
the easy solution. Instead of like, addressing homelessness, they end up putting them in jail for 90 days.
God, that's crazy how they treat homelessness. So people
Yeah.
kind of walk by you guys and treat you guys crazy, especially the government or the cops, if you will. Arresting you guys for 60 or 90 days isn't an end-all be-all to the solution.
Well, I will say that I'm tired of being on the streets, and I've gotten jobs, and I've told them that I was homeless, and I can never stay at a job, more than the first paycheck, because the truth is they get tired of seeing this bag. You know what I mean? It's an eyesore to them, and so I ended up getting fed up with that, constantly getting fired when I'm just a paycheck away from being able to get a car, store my bag, and be good. So I volunteered at St. Vincent de Paul for 2 years.
What
to
was
try
that
to get
like?
my foot into a door, you know what I mean? So to where they could like help me with a job or housing or, something like that. And what it was like is every organization pretty much treats people like they can't take care of themselves and treats them like children. But after doing the fundraising for 2 years, you find out other stuff like the employment center that's in Cass was defunded. So for the past 8 months, Cass, Paz de Cristo, St. Vincent de Paul, all these organizations are not getting people jobs because they don't have the caseworkers anymore because they didn't get funded. So if they're not giving people jobs for the past 8 months, they're definitely not giving them houses.
Yeah, that's really sad. I'm sorry to hear that. I wanted to ask you, where do you sleep at night? Where do you shower? If you don't mind me asking, without being too...
Well, there's cooling centers where we can go in the shower. And as far as sleep at night, I go stay in nature, away from everybody, so I don't have to worry about drugs and theft and the drama of everyday life of being on the streets.
Is it safe in your mind or your perspective on what's it like out here? Safe or unsafe?
Because I've been traveling for 18 years, I don't really worry about safe or unsafe because I'm not afraid of passing on. You know what I mean? And, you can be afraid of all those things, but 90% of our fears are generated by the mind. Yeah, danger is very real, but you can't plan for it. You can't prepare for it. If something happens, it's gonna happen.
That's true. How do you make money? How do you make a living? Is there anything special that you do?
Well, I am gonna get back into jewelry making and playing music, like...
I was just gonna ask you about that.
Yeah, that will never make money.
How do they feel about you playing music downtown Tempe?
They used to be cool about it. They used to love musicians in Tempe, but you don't see them anymore.
You don't. I was just gonna ask you why. Is it just part of what we were talking about earlier?
It's the ordinances and the laws. We'll put it this way. They just see us as an eyesore. And so the only way that they can address the problem is, to have us go away. But when you turn a blind eye to the problems in the world, it's just gonna grow into a giant. You know what I mean? Instead of turning a blind eye and telling that homeless person to go away, you address the issues that cause poverty.
That's true. Well, we're almost coming to a close. I was gonna ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? And I wanted to ask you if people can help. If somebody sees this, or people see this who have money and their intentions and hearts are pure and they want to help you, do you have an app or anywhere where someone could send you money or make donations to you? Is there anything specific that you need?
I'm gonna trust God to provide. And you know, I had an experience just recently that some really nice spiritual people bought me food at Habits, and I had a veggie burger and the sweet potato fries and real homemade strawberry lemonade. And after we had our conversation, they asked me at the end, is there anything you would like us to pray for over your life? And I told them straight up, I'm nice and full. I can't think of any needs at the current moment. And they said, well, I thought you were just talking about, you know, going to Oregon and going to other states to see how the resources are over there because you want it off the streets and you're tired of it. I was like, well, yeah, I don't mind if we pray over that. And they said, okay, well, let's pray about it. Come on, let's go get in the car and we'll go down to Greyhound and we'll get your ticket. And I actually really love that because, you know, I believe in walking prayer and meditation. You know, it's not just about speaking the words, it's about moving forward to put it into action. You know what I mean? Like, don't just talk about it, be about it. And when I seen somebody else actually do that, you know what I mean? And not just pray meaningless words with no action, they brought the prayer to life and they answered my prayer. And man, in a world where it's just getting harder and harder, and there'll be days that I only eat once a day, I'm lucky if I eat twice a day, and breakfast is a privilege.
Yeah, it seems like we're on the times of the Babylon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's scary nowadays.
Well, you know what? When you walk with God,
You're walking right.
you shouldn't fear anything of the world.
And I forgot to ask you, Oregon, do you have family out there? And I want to know how old you are. I forgot to ask you how old you are. If you don't mind me asking.
48 years old, gonna be 49 this year, you know, December 18th. And I do have a brother named Michael that's in Springfield. And I probably will see him, but
For anybody you know that might see this video, is there anything you would like to say to them or let them know?
if you're in a situation where you might end up being on the streets, try to do everything you can to prevent that from happening. Because it used to be really good and fun when I was traveling for a lot of years. But after COVID, every city in every state is run down, and the services are getting worse year by year. And I thought last year was bad. You know, I was carrying Narcan and Pedialyte just because so many people were dying on the streets. Well,
Yeah, the blue epidemic is crazy out here in Arizona. Being that we're a, cartel state and we're right here by the border.
every state's a cartel state.
Yeah, nowadays it's getting crazy.
But I'm telling you truthfully and honestly, is that streets are so sick and tired of it and fed up. And there's no way out. They're not helping us out. They're not helping us get off the streets. They don't have programs and organizations in place. You know, the government's been at a standstill for the past 18 years, and they're not putting funding into those areas. In fact, this new year that's coming, you're gonna see the hardest hit on poverty that this nation's ever seen, because that debt ceiling limit extension was only for 2 years. And I'm already seeing places getting defunded. Now, when we have caseworkers and case managers that are funded to get us jobs so that we have our foot in the door and they can't fire us for being homeless because there's an organization behind representing us, that don't exist anymore. They got defunded 8 months ago. If they're not giving us jobs, they're not giving us houses either. And if you try to get a job on your own and you have big heavy gear like mine, you know, media's brainwashed everybody. They'll get sick and tired of you within 2 to 3 weeks. I lost too many jobs like that.
Very powerful. Keep going, that's powerful, man.
And so the main thing that I want to say is that if you're at risk of becoming homeless, try to prevent it at all costs, because it's only getting harder and harder. And I'm so sick and tired of being on the streets just like everyone else. Can't you tell by the way they act?
Man, that was good. Also, I want to know, I'm going to put this on YouTube and all sites. Do you mind this being or going on my YouTube channel, sir?
No, I don't. I think spreading awareness is very important.
That's awesome.
And
thank you so much.
We also got to understand one main thing. You know, if you're a veteran, you've been in the military and you've served, and you know, you have it in your heart that you're proud of being American, well, you got to understand, being American isn't just going overseas and fighting wars. It's coming back and starting to take care of your community. Because we cannot have no unified nation, especially under God, if you guys come back and do nothing for us. You know what I mean? Because what I'm seeing is not community. You know, like, our kids look lost. Our elderly, man, look like they're treated poorly.
It's a messed up situation.
And, you know, if you see homeless more filthy than they've ever been,
you understand why.
Well then, you gotta understand that maybe they dress them that way on purpose.
Yeah, it starts at the top. If the top is looking shaky, there's no chance for the bottom.
You know, I got somewhat decent clothes because I have to go out there and panhandle, you know, for days on end in order to get nice stuff. Because you can't go to the resource places and get it, because they pretty much will just dress you like a bum. So,
yeah,
if you want to help homeless people, just help them with the kindness of your own heart. Because if you end up getting into some kind of fundraising where you try to help homeless people with the generosity of your heart, if you don't conform to the system ways, they'll shut you down and they'll fine you an insane amount of money. I've seen every single person that tried to freelance them on their own, starting organizations just to feed homeless people. We have one over here at JC Park. You know what I mean? He's got 74 ticket felonies for just feeding the homeless.
Yeah, I was unaware that it's a felony to try to feed the homeless. I heard something about it a few days ago. Someone was telling me that people aren't even allowed to feed the homeless now.
We'll see. It's really not, and it really shouldn't be. It's just the thing is that the government is in control of everything. Even the churches. All the churches that ended up supporting the people got shut down during COVID because of not following COVID restrictions, or not being able to stay open because they weren't making any money anymore. All the churches that are open got Pell Grants and loans from the federal government. It's like the federal government saying, yep, the only churches that are open are the churches we want open.
No,
So,
that's a sad truth. Like I said before,
Unless
when
you
it
have
starts
the-
at the top,
yeah, that's true. Unless you start from the top, work your way down, yeah, ain't nothing gonna happen. But I do have the know-how to be able to create a good shelter that could really change people's lives. The thing is that with the strict regulations nowadays, I can't even do it.
and here we have it, somebody that knows how to create a shelter, saying they have the know-how and the wherewithal, but here in Arizona, can't even do it.
And that's not even with fundraising and nonprofits. I've actually seen organizations that had success rates that worked. So, we sharpen each other.
Iron sharpens iron, man.
Yup. And what I seen them do that works, I incorporated it. And I just wish that we would come together as a people. Because the government's doing nothing.
Very true.
After World War II, it was the community of people that came together to actually bring the economy back up. And by them creating the middle class. And if it wasn't for community coming together, this nation would have fell apart after World War II. Now we're in another war that has nothing to do with the people. It has
One
all
that
to
the
do
soldiers
with,
don't even know what they're fighting for.
yeah, it all has to do with just government interest.
Assassination attempt on Trump.
Yeah.
What does this world come to? It's
So-
almost like a lost cause.
If
Well,
we don't
man.
have the love of family, then there's no sense of coming together for a community.
Very true.
But if you have the love for family, then that's all community is. It's families coming together to help the people. And if you help the less of those, you're helping a child of God.
Very good. Very well said. And I want to thank you for your interview. That was one of the best ones I believe I've seen.
Thank you.
Very good, man. I want to close off with saying thank you so much. I appreciate you.